Hey everyone, this is Owen and welcome to this Q breakdown of my rendition of the Universal Studios theme with Kinder Klang. And before we get started, let's just listen to the music first. All right, I hope you like that. Let's start from the brass section. We have the bugles, 4 of them in fact, kind of like 4 French horns, and it's also being coupled by the stadium horns. And on the last part, there will be trumpet layering, and the bugles are split into harmonies. What makes this really special is because how imperfect the individual instruments sound by themselves, like this. But when you have multiple instruments playing the same thing, it becomes kind of tolerable, and I think that's part of the charm of this library. Like, listen to this stadium horns too. That has a little bit of a kind of sliding into the note. And then we also have the trumpet, which at least in this configuration I think sounds the best. Yeah, and the trumpet actually has multiple articulations, so here I'm using just the normal sustains and also the staccato. Cool, let's move on to the woodwinds. Let's hear what we have over here. Can I just start by saying how I love the intense vibrato on the kazoo? So we have the kazoo female playing the melody, and later on, we have the 2 ocarinas, which in this sense sounds more like a whistle, kind of like those spaghetti western films. And then we have the pads being handled by the accordion. This really nice warm sound, and for a little extra shimmer I have the recorder. And what I like about this, it sounds so wobbly, it sounds like you're playing through a vintage tape machine or something. And of course, nothing is complete without a silly kazoo. And all of this is being modulated using the modulation, which controls the low pass filter. And then we have our Otamatone. I don't know why, but I think about Otamatone as a string section for whatever reason. But here it is with full glory, white vibrato. And then I kind of have a little doubling of the glissando effects. Okay, now let's go to the keys. We have boomwhackers. And you probably know this because it plays in unison with the percussion. Really subtle. Then, in this part, which is my favorite, I think in the original that was the snare drum part. And this time I'm using the boomwhackers and also the udu. And it's such a really nice sound. And then we have the kalimba, and it's doing a glissando, like a harp. And we also actually have a real harp, a lap harp, doing that very out of tune glissando, but it's okay because it's being buried in the mix. It just adds a little bit of funsies into it. And we also have the Teigsglock. And one thing to note about this particular glockenspiel, I'm trying to keep the arrangement as similar to the original. But if we hear the percussion section, It's so dry, it's so transient heavy, and that reminded me a lot about marching bands. So this glockenspiel part is kind of taken straight from the marching band land, because if this is a real glockenspiel in a concert hall, it will be pretty annoying. And then we have the press bells doing the tremolo effect, crescendo in, and we also have the marimba here doing that classic flat 6, flat 7, 2, 1. And here are all the keys together at the ending. And as you can hear, it's pretty out of tune, which I think adds to the charm. Now we have our guitars, or plucked instruments. We have the ukulele, and yeah, you heard that, zither and ukulele strum doing the drum part. And we're ending that with that little slide guitar, which I really like. We have this bass synth. It's also from Kinder Klang, believe it or not. It's one of the process patches. And what's interesting is it still works without the bass, but it's just missing that low end. Cool. And now let's go and investigate what we have for our drum section. So we have the mini drum. And as you can see here, I'm just mushing all the keys and randomizing the velocity in order to have that flam effect, making it sound bigger than it's supposed to be. We got flexatone, kitchen hits, and also a little marchery on the end. And we talked about this briefly before, but we have the most udo. And also a plastic bucket, but this time I am tuning it all the way down to get that big kick energy. And we have also voice effects. But again, I put a bunch of different effects here too to make it sound more like a kick, and you kind of feel it in the chest. And now let's listen to a little voice effects. We have me, myself, and I here. It's my voice. I just need to plug myself in right there. And then we have the solo boy, which I really like. Again, using the modulation to automate the cut. And I really like this rising motion. And let's listen to everything, but this time without the drums, just so you have a little sense of what is going on. And yeah, hope you like it and you learned something from here. See you next time.